You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning on another edition of Inside Automotive. Dealers, whether you're planning to retire, shift industries, or simply take advantage of the current market conditions, there are key strategies that can make the process smoother and more successful. Today, Sheldon Sandler, the founder of Bel Air Partners, is going to walk us through 10 tips for selling your dealership successfully. Thank you, Sheldon, so much for joining us once again on the show. Your appearance here is always just a huge viewing spectacle for our audience, so thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be with you.
Yep.
And I had never been considered to be a spectacle, but I'll take it. Thank you.
So let's start off here. I know that you've outlined a number of different things here that we should focus on, and at the top of that list is confidentiality. Man, I think that's probably got to be at the top of the list, right? Talk to us about that.
That's a critical element for most deals that we're engaged with. The issue is always finding out the most best deal we can find for our clients versus the risk of hiring a broker. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, dealers, and understandably, years ago I didn't understand this, but now I do. It's a dealer, you don't want your employees to know prematurely about a deal being done, that you're interested in selling a deal. It creates uncertainty among the staff.
Boy, that's for sure. Yeah.
And that can,
well, you can lose good people over that.
Because they don't know what the next buyer is going to want to offer them as far as their compensation. Let's be honest.
That's right.
So that uncertainty really is not good for, and as we were discussing earlier, not all deals close. So,
why wreak havoc on the operation if you don't need to? And then there might even be some people, such as the general manager, that thinks, well, wait a minute, I thought I had a shot at buying the store, and now I hear it's for sale, and nobody talked to me about that. And so that's it.
One of the things that we found is typically we get retained when the dealer doesn't want to expose the possibility of a sale to any local brokers, or not brokers, any local dealers who are in their market. They're typically hoping to find someone from outside their market, because the exposure to the deal is much less likely to occur.
Right.
The problem with that is you've got depending on the size of the deal and what the deal's all about, your best buyer might be your local dealer. Yeah. But if it doesn't happen, you're loath to expose your financials, et cetera, to your local competitor.
That's true.
But that may wind up being your best buyer. That's the So it's a risk-reward factor here. Sure.
So next on your list is preparation. This isn't something to be taken lightly, right? I mean,
that's a key factor. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you're serious about selling your deal, you really need to be prepared. So you want to get a good idea of what your valuation might be ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And that's a large part of what anybody in our business spends a lot of time doing is what are the history of your performance, mm-hmm. but also what's really important is what's the opportunities. Mm-hmm. Too often our clients think, oh, we've got to hit a home run, show phenomenal performance. Well, most of our buyers are going to be other dealers, so they can spot inconsistencies. Yeah. And not only that, but you want to in preparation, you want to explore every opportunity and not over exaggerate, because that's only going to lead to something called post-closing changes. In negotiations. So you want to get as clear a picture of what's the reality of the dealership as possible. Now, you do want to highlight opportunities, but you don't want to exaggerate them either.
Sure.
Because, of course, part of our job is to come up with ad backs in preparation.
Yeah.
To normalize earnings. But you want to, for example, one of the issues is typically the factories are requiring some kind of substantial investment in improving facilities. Well, you want to let the potential buyer know that that's ahead of them.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get into a deal and the buyer finds out later on in the process that he's going to have a big expenditure to improve facilities or even move the facility.
Yep.
So since you're selling to educated buyers, other dealers most likely.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You want to be as transparent as possible. On the other hand, you do want to explore what the opportunities are.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you oftentimes too, that dealer that you're selling to has relationships with the OEMs. Many cases, it might be the same OEM of the store that they're talking to you about. So they've got that back channel too to kind of check out stories and to say, hey, what are you expecting? What's the planning potential? What how's this dealership from your perspective performing? And by the way, if there's anything we need to know about in terms of moving the store or an update to the facility, I'd like to hear that now. So that DM is probably going to go, hey, time out. This is the deal.
And we frankly hate it when the buyer starts to talk to the factory prematurely.
Yeah, of course.
Because that further risks confidentiality. Getting back to that subject.
Yeah.
And just let me address that for a second.
Yeah.
Our thinking is the only people should know that you're selling your deal are people who need to know.
Right.
Typically, we don't go on premises. We don't do any of our work on premises. Sometimes we'll meet with a dealer on a Saturday night or Sunday night, something like that, when nobody's around.
Of course.
But we often work not so much with the internal accountants, but the CPAs who are doing the IRS returns and things of that nature for the information we need.
Right.
Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you do. It's helpful to bring the general managers in or the accountants. We found very effectively, and this has happened with us, if you let them know that if the deal closes, they're going to get a nice big bonus. So it's in their interest to maintain confidentiality.
Yeah. I can see that.
So.
Very good point.
I just want to back to what you were saying. But manufacturers are not your friend. Once they know you're selling, they have every dealer thinks they have a great relationship with the manufacturers, and everybody loves everybody, and we take those trips together and things. But once they know you're interested in selling, they're not interested.
All bets are off.
Yeah, they're not interested in helping you. They're interested in who the next buyer is going to be.
That's right.
And often they'll have a list of preferred buyers themselves who will they'd like you to be selling the deal to because they trust. That's such an important point. That trust in deals is so important.
Yeah,
we've had deals break down when trust breaks down. When we lack trust, it really creates an unhealthy environment.
That's right.
So,
that's right. And when somebody talks to that OEM, that the next call that OEM representative makes is to his group of potential buyers to say, hey, I just got word, would you be a player for this store? And now all of a sudden it's everywhere, right?
Confidential.
Now the guy, the dealer goes downstairs, he tells his GM, the GM tells the whole network, and before you know it, your whole team knows within seconds, right? Especially thanks to one of these, right? And it's, hey, did you just hear what I heard? And so hey,
people love to gossip. Let's be honest.
Of course, that's big news in any town, right? So and so is going to sell, which I guess goes perfect segue to the identifying the buyers. For an advisory company like yours, that's what you specialize in, right? Rather than blasting it to everybody out there, you're saying we got a small list right here, and we're going to focus on that, right?
You are 100% right. What we try to do is vet. One of our, just as like you said, one of our responsibilities is to vet the buyers. Yeah. Those buyers can actually be people that the dealer already knows.
Yeah.
But the idea is we need to know that the buyer is motivated to buy the deal. Looking for a Toyota deal, looking for a Subi deal, looking for a Benz deal. And
those are three good deals you just mentioned, by the way. Who doesn't want those stores?
But you want to have typically not more than 4 or 5 potential buyers, so you're confident of the financial ability, of the motivation to be a buyer. Have good experiences in buying other deals that have a reputation for not penciling deals at the closing table.
Yep.
And once again, it comes to trust. And let me go back to what I was trying to say earlier. When you present the deal, you want to make certain that you're trying to give the reality of the dealership. Don't exaggerate you could save money here, or used cars could be better there, or we have an employee who's not doing a good job or is doing a good job. Never make it your performance based on an employee. Make it based on process. Yeah. But and too often, we've got a great GM. Well, that GM could leave. Yep. So so don't you don't want to emphasize the employees. As critical as that is, it's up to the new buyer to retain that employee.
What are we talking about realistically in getting a deal done, from that first phone call to the closing table?
To summarize that, there's so many steps that before you get to the closing table. Right. The reality is, let's talk about reality, okay? Yeah. You're talking about a good 6 months, minimal, because you've got to go through the preparation stage, then the marketing stage, then the negotiation stage, then the LOI, then the asset purchase agreement being put together. Sure. Then you've got to get due diligence, environmental studies.
So what do you need, Sheldon? Like 60 days, something like that?
you need 6 months to complete the whole.
6 months.
It's always been the case. No matter what anybody says, it's always going to be at least 6 months, and sometimes longer. Right. But you got to think, if you're going to do a deal, you got to know it's most likely going to take 6 months to get through all the hurdles. Right.
So for dealers that are listening to us have this conversation, I appreciate all the time you've given us. When it comes to hiring an advisor / broker, depending on what circle you're in, but somebody to help you sell your dealership, what should they be looking for in that? Because I've actually gotten this question a number of times by dealers that have said, ask this of your advisors that you have on. What's the criteria? What should we be looking for?
I think reputation, but even more, just sometimes, I don't think you'll find car dealer brokers on Yelp, okay? You want someone, you want real financial acumen, someone who really understands the business, knows the market, where the market is, and has real experience having done a lot of deals, because every deal has its own nuance.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
So you need, and there are a few of us out there. Yeah. I like this, and some very professional brokers. Mm-hmm. But understand that the way to approach this is we are not necessarily finders. Too often our dealers think we're finders. That's wrong. There's plenty of buyers out there, but you want someone so experienced putting deals together that they know where the traps are, where the obstacles are, and avoid that before you even go to market with the deal. Right. And so you want a financial capable broker, someone who really like for example, our partner Todd Burko, just for an example, does lots of valuations beyond just the buy-sell process. That's the kind of backup you want.
Sheldon Sandler, founder of Bel Air Partners, that knows blue sky. Not only knows blue sky, but can get you
I finally figured
great
it out.
multiples in the area of blue sky. So he has learned blue sky very well over the last 30 years. So we appreciate all the time that you've given us. I know that our dealer viewers will get a lot out of your visit with us. So thank you so much, Sheldon,
Thanks,
for
Jim.
stopping
Well,
by.
thanks for having us, Jim.
For people that are looking for a great company to handle their transaction, we have many of them on here at CBT News, and we have a great group of them. Sheldon happens to be one of them, and we stand by him. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Jim, I always enjoy talking about the business. It doesn't necessarily have to be result in a that we're retained. It's just fun
he's easy to
it's
talk
so
to,
much
as you
fun
can
to
see.
talk
Give
to
him
dealers.
give him a call. Give Sheldon a call and just say, hey, here's what we're thinking. So, all right.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks so much.
Great, Jim. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.